Welcome to another episode of Winter's Glow on Art with Janine Liza YouTube. In this episode, I will be working on the faces and the hat of the characters in this painting. I've also left in some of the live recordings of the process of creating this painting, as well as adding a few voiceovers. I'm just about to start work on painting the faces of these two. I'm going to look at mixing the colours and creating the tones that will come as close to the colour of the actual skin as possible. I'm going to create some warmer and cooler values to match both of their skin. I'm still just holding the camera over the canvas, so the camera's a little bit wobbly, but it will balance out soon. You can notice that I've put one layer on the skin and it looks very 2D right now. Making skin color can be a little tricky, but I started with a little pink here, and this is just like a regular sort of fuchsia pink. There we go. I have two here that are actually skin color, and I think I used those for the basic start on the faces. But what I'm going to need to do is put a little bit of each down and then make some sort of different values and different tones of these. Oh, this one's being tricky, it doesn't want to squeeze out of the bottle. So I'm going to just take the lid off and do it that way. Could be a little lumpy or something, but we'll be thinning that out to use it anyway. Now I'm going to be brave and put a little purple over here. Some of the colours. Instead of adding black, again, it's being cheeky. Oh, and I see. That one needed shaking up. So you know what I'm going to do? I think I can get away with this spot because it's on the corner. I'm going to tip that back into the paint because it may need that. Okay, I've tipped that back in. And I'm going to give that a good shake. I guess this purple hasn't been used in a while. There we go. Give that a good shake. And get some white paint while I'm waiting on that. There we go. A little bit of white. That one's working. Just these little acrylic bottles. After a while, they either clump up in paint, and it's hard to sort of get them out of the top, or they sort of have their oils come to the top. So I'll get that cleaned up there. Dried up. Let's try again. There we go. Actually, that's nice fluid paint. Alright, I've got these colours. Now we want to start experimenting with colour to make the face colours. I'll mix these two together a little. That's just sort of making it a little more vibrant, the light pink vibrant. And I guess I will grab some of this creamy color and mix it in. Yeah, so it makes a nice in-between of those two skin colors. A little more vibrancy in there. There we go. And what you're going to end up with is like 6 different values. So you can move back and forth between the light and the dark. So here I'm going to grab some white and put it here. Now if I didn't have this one, I'd just use a little bit of yellow paint. It's pretty close to yellow. I can use a palette knife. This is a good trick though. Get a palette knife. If you're using wax paper and you want to keep your paint together, just scrape it. Bring it back together in a smaller space. Like that. There we go. So this skin color looks pretty good, the lighter one. And let's add some purple to this area. This is going to be really dark now. And a little bit more pink in there. We could bring in some black as well. I just want to see if the purple is sufficient. There we go. Yeah, so this is giving us different values of skin color, and we could use a tiny drop of black too, but let's bring the photograph over again so we can see the difference. So here's the faces again. You've got that yellowy kind of skin color, and then there are some almost purpley patches that are darker. So you'll be moving between these. I also see a bit of an orangey tone, so we've got to work on this to sort of create some of those. You can only work on so much at a time though, so like you'll work on a few areas and then you'll remix for the next time. Because you could put a good like hour and a half into just getting some areas of the face close to perfect until you do the final details later on. Okay, so this is how I mix my skin colors with these, and you can also use a tiny bit of black, a tiny bit, so gently, just a touch on there. You don't want to go crazy. And then mix that into some of this here. And I remember that above his sunglasses he has a shadow on his head, under the rim of his cap. That little bit of black in that would give you that value. And there it is. I'm going to work on his face, just adding areas of obvious different tones. So the forehead there you can see is darker than this area, so I'm going to put a darker tone up here. I do see patches that are sort of more vibrant, like under the glasses here and just below the lip and on the neck here. So just sort of looking for areas of obvious different tones and then putting those in. So I'll start with that darker tone that I created before the paint dries and get that in up there, right above the glasses. This may not be the best brush, and I need to go down to a smaller size. This is my pot with tiny brushes. See if I can find a really tiny one though. Oh, not that tiny. I need a size 1. Ah, there's one hiding in there. Okay, all right, let's pop that on. So right under the hat, in this area. Yeah, maybe I should go to a smaller like that, and then even smaller than this brush, I think. When it comes to the faces, you kind of have to work in tiny, tiny patches to get where you're going. There'll be a lot of dark value in there, and then just a tiny bit of bright, but that's exactly how it looks under his hat. And that's a little brighter here, just a little though, not a lot. Even this is too much. And it's a little brighter here. And I'm going to have to use a bit of water, so I'm just going to wash my brush, grab a tiny bit of water on the brush, then tap the tissue paper towel, and then I'm going to smudge the edges of this light value and blend it into the darker area so it looks more natural up there. There we go. And that's how it works. You've got the dark and the light, and you're just smudging areas together with a little water. I'm going to go back to the dark now. Get that in there. Okay, here looks a little bit intense, but that's okay. Yeah, I'll fill that in. Okay, so it's gonna need adjustment again with the water. So I just wet the brush and then tapped it on the paper towel. So I didn't take all the water off, but I took enough off that it's got a tiny bit to smudge with. So that's a good tip for blending your colors. Sometimes you just need that tiny bit of shadow or a tiny bit of light, and that's the way to get it. Now I'm going to move to working on the cap, and I'm going to create some green values. I have a dark green here, but I need to change it. It's the wrong tone of green. So I need to have this green. I'd say it's a bit of a Kelly green, but I'm not 100% certain. So, and it looks like it's in 2 tones. So let's see what we can do to change this green. We will add a little white and a little yellow. Yellow is the key to the much lighter greens sometimes. Squirt some of that down there. There we go. Alright, now let's mix. We want to create that lighter green. Let's just do this. You need to be generous with the yellow to get there. Oh, more yellow. I'm just looking at the picture as I'm mixing this. And a little bit of white. Let's do that. Let's see if we got close. Yes, we did. That's pretty good. Well, that just needed a little yellow and white. And now let's bring the photo back so we can see if we have matched it. Let's see. Look at that. And the paint at the same time. Pretty close, pretty close. Yeah. The dog is playing with a squeaky toy behind me. Okay, so I have the 2 values of green. So we'll scoop up that yellow. And I just want to make this one slightly darker, so I'm going to just dip into the black paint a tiny, tiny bit and put that into this value here on this side. So it's got a darker tone to it, just maybe a bit more of the green. There we go. It's a bit more of a shaded one. Alright, so I'm going to paint that onto the hat now. We just want to get those faces right, and then the rest is going to be a little bit more fun, because getting the faces is, the personality of them. So I want to get their personality. I got to get these colors, and that's what I'm doing right here, trying to get the same colors. So I'm going to do some mixing while looking at the image. I made the colors yesterday, or the day before, but they dried up because I had to stop what I was doing. So I'm just going to start mixing some together. So the yellowy and the pink, 2 different skin tones, to kind of come up with as close to their color. And then there's a bit more vibrancy to his skin and some areas of hers. I'm just kind of coming up with a medium here. It's too orangey for her. And not vibrant enough for him. I'll need some more pink in there. Okay. So now I'm going to paint the faces a little more. Let's just start somewhere here. Let's see what tone we have. I put the tone on, and then when I see which tone it is, I know where it's going to be needed. I hope you've enjoyed listening to some of the live recorded parts of the video that were recorded during the actual painting. And now I'm just doing a little voiceover to let you know that I am fast forwarding this part of the video. This portion of the painting took probably several days to do. And when I compiled this video, it was 4 hours long and it was just clips. So what I've had to do is reduce it by 3/4 and then fast forward what is left so that you can see with just the highlights the transition as I went along. So working between light and dark values of the colors, I was able to create the illusion of depth in the face, apply the goatee and the moustache, work on the teeth, work on his ears and her hair, and then I will be moving to the pom-pom on the back of the woolly hat. It's starting to look more like them. It just takes a lot of careful time and detail to get there. We can take a look at the original picture on the computer and just compare a little bit. And it really does help to keep looking at the picture, obviously, to get the details right. There's the happy couple. It's coming along lovely. In this part of the video, I am now moving on to the hat and focusing on the little fluffy pom-pom on the back of the hat. I'm adding some dark shadow right where it meets the woolly hat, and then slowly working my way out with a lighter value to add those little fluffy hairs that are sticking out around the pom-pom. I actually enjoy a challenge like this where I need to replicate a texture to make it look accurate. Because this video is an extra long episode, I'm going to speed up this portion of the video. As with many other areas of the painting, I switch between light and dark values here, trying to create almost like a fluffy sphere shape, half of a sphere anyways, as I make this pom-pom sort of stick out the back of this hat. I've gone to the light value with a very, very tiny brush, trying to create those fine hairs. And then I've gone back to a darker value closer to the hat, where it meets the knitted part of the hat, which is another texture that I enjoyed creating while making this painting. I'm happy with the way this has turned out for now, and it's time to let this dry for a little while before thinking about adding any more details. In this video, we've looked at making skin colour, adding details to the faces to create depth in the skin. I've enjoyed mixing colours and creating values and tones in order to continue with creating the illusion of 3D in the painting. And this will continue in the next video as we add more details and depth. Thank you so much for joining me on Art with Janine Liza and sharing the journey of creating this winter's glow painting. In the next episode, you'll see me take on the challenge of replicating the details on this jacket that is hanging around Jay's waist. At this stage of the painting, the jacket is still in its 2D shape, and I look forward to showing you how I changed that. Thanks again for joining me, and if you'd like to see more episodes of Winter's Glow, you can find them on the playlist Winter's Glow on Art with Janine Liza YouTube. You'll also find a variety of other creative videos on my channel. And if you like what you find, please feel free to subscribe.